Welcome to Sports MECCA, everyone. I'm Jacob Botter, he's Mac Morey, and all is right in the world because the Vols look like the Vols. And by that, I mean they beat Kentucky in Neyland. For 17 times in a row, Kentucky has tried to beat Vols in Neyland, and it has not happened so far. Mac, what did you see on Saturday?
Jacob, how fun was that game? That was a blast. We finally saw the defense go 11 hats around the football. Jeremy Pruitt is in full flow here. And guys, our defense finally looked great. They stopped Terry Wilson, 10 carries for -6 yards. At quarterback, Kentucky, that is what Terry Wilson has been doing for the team. Benny Snell averaging just 4 yards a carry when he was a Heisman candidate a few weeks ago. That is amazing. Just over 100 all-purpose yards when they kept feeding him. That was great. Daniel Batuli, great tackles. Daryl Taylor looking awesome with 4 sacks and a few tackles for losses.
Let's go ahead and get into the highlights here from Saturday. Pruitt walking around the sidelines, but it was a great game for the Vols defense here as we see a big tackle for loss, and no one had a better day than Daryl Taylor did. Taylor had 7 tackles, 4 sacks, and recovered a fumble. Just a massive day for the Vols pass rusher, as here we see one of those 4 sacks. But he wasn't the only person who had a great day. How about Jarrett Garantano?
Great, and we really put him in the right situation. Calculated risks, 12 for 20 from the field, 197 yards and 2 touchdowns. He's only thrown 2 interceptions this whole season. We've kept him doing that. And really what I want to talk about with Garantano is also the running game, because that running game was so good today. And it really helped Garantano stay efficient. You see them there on a run showing his athleticism. We were able to do that and spread the defense around. Jeremy Pruitt really showed a lot of different looks in the running game, too. It wasn't just like we were grounding, pounding with Tim Jordan and Ty Chandler. We did some jet sweeps. We did a lot of different kinds of motion. And we switched it up today. And there's Shy Tuttle with that amazing block. That was a big game-changing play.
Right. One of my favorite players to watch on Saturday was Jordan Murphy. He only touched the ball 2 times. You saw one of them on that long end-around run, a 59-yard rush. He also had a 38-yard reception. Jordan Murphy is proving that he could be a bigger part of the offense as a true big play guy, a home run hitter, no matter where you give him the ball. If it's a handoff, if it's on a sweep, if it's on a pass, Jordan Murphy is turning into a huge player for the Vols. So let's go ahead and talk about Daryl Taylor. He had those 4 sacks. He was such a huge presence. He's been a lot better in recent weeks, helping that Vols pass rush get going in the absence of Jonathan Kongbo after he left the season to injury. But after the game, Taylor told the media how he prepared for such a dominant performance.
I think it's just going through practice, making sure that I'm sound and watching the ball. I'm sound in my get off, making sure I'm using my speeds, my abilities. And I think it's just my coaches staying on me about not running past the quarterback or not letting the quarterback get out the pocket. And I think we did a great job of this week, and our coaches stressed it, and it showed in the game. Our confidence level was pretty high. Our confidence level is high going into every game, no matter who we playing. I think our confidence level is always high.
Great stuff there from Daryl Taylor. And we were talking about Garantano's efficiency a little earlier and how he has only thrown 2 picks. He's actually got the longest UT record for throwing passes without an interception so far this season. How long do you think Garantano can keep that up, and what do you think he needs to do that, Jacob?
I really think this can keep going for, if not the rest of the season, for at least another game, this one against Missouri. And I think to do that, a lot of that comes down to the shoulders of Tyson Helton and Jeremy Pruitt, depending on how they call plays. If they can get a lot of these quick hitters, get it to your best athletes in space, some spread concept stuff, Garantano could really go a while without throwing a pick. If they have him take more shots downfield, obviously that's more risk of throwing an interception. But Garantano, week in and week out, is proving that he is the true quarterback, the true starting quarterback for this team. When asked how he game planned for Kentucky, Garantano had this to say.
I think we had a very good game plan going into it. I thought that Kentucky secondary is very good. They have a lot of experienced guys, so it was definitely hard to get by them and do different things, but we were able to, and we were able to get some explosive plays in the run game and pass game. This week was different. I think that we had great practices. We were getting after each other Tuesday, Wednesday, and I thought that we had a lot of confidence in the locker room, even though despite what we did last week, I thought that we were ready for this week.
And perhaps Garantano's best play of the day was the Hail Mary he completed to Marquez Callaway as time expired in the first half. It was Callaway's first receiving touchdown of the year, and also it was such a big momentum swing.
It really was. It really sealed that first half for the Tennessee Volunteers. And getting the win in general, that 17-0 lead, it's just not nearly as convincing as 10-0 was, and Kentucky was still able to make some momentum shifts in the second half. If it weren't for that touchdown, the game could have gone differently. You know, with Jarrett Garantano playing the way he has, I want to talk a little bit about how we've been able to do that. And, it's just funny because Ty Chandler, Tim Jordan both had 150 yards on the ground. And Garantano is a quarterback that is able to make plays out of the pocket and he's able to throw efficiently. But without other players like Tim Jordan and Ty Chandler and Marquez Callaway and even, Juwan Jennings when he's able to play, those players have to show up, and they did for Garantano. And, the offensive line has struggled this year. But against Kentucky, they did pretty solid. Mm-hmm. I mean, they had a guy in Josh Allen who's 6'6", 260 pounds at Kentucky. He's got 11 sacks on the season. And, he's going to be a first-round pick in the NFL, and they held him pretty well.
Yeah, the entire Vols offense was very efficient and very effective on Saturday against Kentucky. Just a week after being outgained by the Charlotte 49ers, the Vols came out and had 412 total yards compared to Kentucky's 262. So it was a great day for all facets of the offense. And also the defense. I thought the defense played very well. As you said earlier, they limited Benny Snell, one of the best running backs in the country, to less than 100 yards, no touchdowns. Terry Wilson was sacked a handful of times, which really hurt those rushing numbers. And he also threw a pick, as well as Kentucky's backup quarterback. 2 interceptions for the Vols defense, both by Marquell Osborne. This is a secondary that was really criticized earlier in the year for being ineffective, for allowing a lot of receiving yards against teams like West Virginia or Florida. But really, since then, they've come together and they've really started to play well. And a lot of that comes down to the freshman cornerbacks, Alontae Taylor and Bryce Thompson. Thompson did leave the game with injury, but Pruitt said he just got his bell rung. He should be okay. But Osborne stepped up. And another guy, Todd Kelly, who's now back from injury, has been really big for the secondary too.
Yeah, no doubt. And now moving forward for the Tennessee Vols season, they've got Missouri coming up at home next weekend. And that's a good quarterback in Drew Lock, a lesser caliber team overall, I would say, comparatively to Kentucky. But Jacob, Drew Lock has completed over 62% of his passes, got a nice QBR of over 140, and he's got some nice statistics there. He's 6'4", 225 pounds, and he's able to stand in the pocket pretty strong. How do you see Tennessee's defense playing well this weekend against Kentucky, being able to improve on that performance?
Look, I think they're going to do a lot better than people expect they will against Drew Lock. Lock is having a really good year. His progression from year to year has really been apparent. He keeps getting more accurate. He keeps making better throws and better decisions, most importantly. But as I said, this Vols secondary, I think it was criticized too much at the beginning of the season. And they've looked so much better. And a lot of that also comes down to the pass rush. The pass rush has been great recently. Darrell Taylor, Kyle Phillips has had a handful of great games recently. And that really helps get pressure off the secondary, helps open things up helps close things down for the offense and help open things up for the defense. So I think they'll do better than people expect against Lock.
Yeah, I think the one thing about Drew Lock is you talk about that pressure, but he is that big. He's able to move around. I think Drew Lock's a highly touted prospect in the NCAA. There's no doubt about it. He does have less weapons, his main one being Emmanuel Hall, who's got over 500 yards receiving and about 4 or 5 touchdowns this season. So I think Drew Lock's going to be tough to stop, but I think you're correct. I think with the way that 11 Hat's been flying around the ball here for Tennessee, it's just going to be a different game, and especially at Neyland Stadium. Man, it was rocking on Saturday.
Totally was. An interesting side note to look at for this week's game against Missouri is Derek Dooley, the former Vols head coach, is now the Missouri offensive coordinator and back in Knoxville for the first time since he was fired by the Vols. Knox County right now is not a very friendly place for Derek Dooley.
No, it is not, and there's a few reasons for that, Jacob. He's got the worst record of Tennessee coaches with 2 or more seasons. He's also got the worst record in SEC play of Tennessee coaches with 2 or more seasons. He's got the worst overall record in the SEC since 1906. He was pretty bad for over 2 seasons for the Volunteers, and it's been now almost 10 years since Derek Dooley has been back here in Rocky Top. So we'll see how warm the welcome is for our former head coach.
Yeah, I think he's going to do a pretty good job calling plays for Missouri against the Vols because he knows this is an important week for the team, and especially he's going to come out and want to show the people of Knoxville that they did him a disservice with all the criticism he's received from recent years. So I would not be shocked to see Missouri reach deep into that bag of tricks, pull out some crazy trick plays against Tennessee. But let's go ahead and talk about the Vols' remaining schedule. They have Missouri and Vanderbilt. They need one of those 2 wins to be bowl eligible. Let's start with Missouri. Will they win?
This is going to be a tough game, and I think we obviously just kind of talked about it, that offensive weapons that they have in Drew Lock, and really he is such a highly touted quarterback. I've got him at number 4 in my prospects in the NCAA right now. As far as the quarterback position is concerned, I'm very high on Drew Lock. But I think the way I saw the defense be able to play last Saturday, and Daniel Batuli's been great all season, and now with the sudden emergence of the rest of the defense and our secondary, who has been playing very well, and that was a surprise to you and me both, and I think probably a lot of people. I think at Neyland, Tennessee will be able to get the job done if they can capitalize on the few mistakes that Missouri is going to make.
You're totally right about Batuli, Mac. 8 tackles, and 3 of them were for loss. What a dominant game by the linebacker. But I think I agree with you. I think I do like the Vols' chances against Missouri, especially with the way, like you said, the defense has been playing lately. But I do think this will be a tough game. Missouri in their last 2 games have been a little inconsistent. They squeaked by a bad Vanderbilt team 33-28 on Saturday. But before that, they blew out Florida, who, as we all know, blew out Tennessee. So this has been a really inconsistent Missouri team. They did lose to Kentucky on a questionable, should Kentucky have gotten a final play. They did get the final play. They won on the final play. So I think it'll be a close game, but I will take the Vols as well. So that'll do it for the first segment here of Sports Mecca. When we come back, we're going to be talking about the University of Tennessee basketball teams, both men and women's. We got some great packages from some of our people here. So stay tuned. It'll be some good stuff. Jacob Otter, Mac Morey.